I am 32 male, have always known my older brother 34 male, had a competitive streak, but I never expected him to try and steal my fiancée. We've had a complicated relationship growing up. He was the golden child, our parents' favorite, the one who could do no wrong. I was the other son, the one who had to work twice as hard just to be noticed. But I didn't care. I built my own life, my own success, and most importantly, I found someone who genuinely loved me. My fiancée, 30 female. She's everything I could ever want. Smart, kind, beautiful. We've been together for 5 years, engaged for 1, and we're finally setting a wedding date. I thought my brother was happy for me. Turns out, I was wrong. It started subtly. My fiancée mentioned that my brother had been texting her more often, just casual things at first, but then he started bringing up doubts. Are you sure I is the one? He's always been a little insecure. You could do better, She shut him down every time, but he kept pushing. Then he got bold. One night, after she ignored his texts, he showed up at her apartment when I wasn't there. He told her outright that he could provide more for her than I ever could. She laughed in his face and told him to leave. That's when he played his trump card. He claimed I had cheated on her, said he had proof, texts, pictures. He even told her that he had been covering for me all this time. I'll never forget the look on her face when she told me. She was shaking with anger, not at me, but at him. She never believed a word of it, but she was livid that my own brother would go this far. That was when I knew I had to destroy him, exposing his lies. I wasn't going to let this slide. He had tried to ruin my relationship. He had tried to steal the woman I love. He wanted to humiliate me, make me look weak. Fine. Let's see how he likes it. First, I needed proof. My fiancé handed over every text he had sent her, every call log, every voicemail. I wanted a full record of his behavior. Then, I went a step further. I started recording our conversations. A week later, I invited him out for a drink. Played dumb, acted normal. Then I brought up his little stunt. You really thought you could turn her against me? I said, watching his face carefully. He smirked. I was just looking out for her. By lying. I wasn't lying, he said, leaning back in his chair. I was just giving her options. I hit record on my phone under the table. So, you made up the cheating stories? He shrugged. I wouldn't call it made up. More like strategically placed misinformation. Gotcha. I let him dig his own grave. He admitted to everything. The fake screenshots? Made using an app. The proof he had? Fabricated. He even laughed about how easy it was to manipulate people. I had everything I needed. Now it was time to bury him. Public humiliation. The next family gathering was my parents' anniversary. Perfect timing. Everyone was there, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, even some of our childhood friends. I waited until everyone was settled before I stood up and said, I have something to share. Then I played the recording. The room fell dead silent. My mother gasped. My father turned pale. My brother's face went from smug to pure panic in seconds. He lunged for my phone, but I pulled away. You tried to ruin my relationship, I said, my voice cold. You lied, you manipulated, and you did it all because you couldn't stand that I had something you didn't. He started stammering, looking around for support, but no one spoke up for him. My fiancée stood next to me, arms crossed, disgust written all over her face. Do you have anything to say for yourself? My father finally asked. Silence. Then my mother, who had always favored him, slapped him across the face. You are no son of mine, she hissed. The weight of what he had done finally hit him. He had lost everything, his family's trust, his reputation, his dignity. And I wasn't finished. You see, my brother had a side business, one that wasn't exactly legal. He ran an under-the-table investment scam, promising high returns and delivering nothing. I had known about it for years but never said anything. Until now. After exposing him to the family, I sent all the evidence I had gathered, including some particularly damning transactions, to the IRS. It didn't take long before he was hit with a full audit. Fines, legal trouble, frozen accounts. He lost everything. But the cherry on top? His fiancée, yes, he was engaged too, dumped him on the spot. She had been sitting in the crowd, listening to every word. Turns out, she had her suspicions about him all along. This was just the confirmation she needed. Now, my brother is jobless, broke, and completely alone. Meanwhile, My fiancé and I, we're getting married next month, and my entire family will be there, except for him. Some people think they're untouchable, that they can lie, manipulate, and scheme their way through life without consequences. But sometimes karma needs a little push, and I was more than happy to give it. After that family gathering, my brother tried to do damage control. He called my parents, begging them to understand that it was all a joke that had gotten out of hand. My mother, who had always defended him, was done. My father? He told him point blank, "You're dead to me." I thought that would be the end of it. But people like my brother don't just disappear quietly. First, he tried to shift the blame onto me. Told anyone who would listen that I had set him up, that the recording was taken out of context, that I had twisted his words. He even had the audacity to claim that I was the real manipulator and that I had turned the whole family against him out of jealousy. But the problem with compulsive liars? They never know when to quit. The moment he started spewing that nonsense, I dropped the full version of the recording into the family group chat. A clean, unedited version, where he openly admitted to forging evidence against me and trying to steal my fiancée. That shut him up real quick. Then the financial investigation really kicked in. The IRS didn't just audit him. They ripped his life apart. Turns out, he owed a lot more than anyone realized. He had been living way above his means, taking risky loans, making bad investments. And the best part? He had used our parents' names as guarantors on some of his loans. They were furious. They immediately cut all ties, refused to bail him out. He was on his own. His final, pathetic attempt at revenge. Now, any normal person would have taken their losses and walked away. But not my brother. He wasn't just angry, he was obsessed. A few weeks after the family fallout, I got a text from an unknown number. "I hope you're happy. You took everything from me. But I'm not done yet." I laughed. What else could he possibly do? Well, he tried to crash my wedding. The wedding day disaster for him, not me. We were getting married at a beautiful venue, a small, intimate ceremony with close friends and family. My brother, obviously, was not invited, but that didn't stop him from showing up. He came in drunk, wearing a wrinkled suit, demanding to speak to my fiancée. Said she was making a mistake and that she would regret this forever. Security was already moving in, but I decided to handle it myself. I walked up to him, looked him in the eye, and said, "You've already lost. Get out." He tried to argue, slurring his words, but before he could say anything else, my father grabbed him by the collar and personally escorted him out. I heard later that he got thrown out of the venue, fell into a fountain, and got banned from the property. Poetic justice. Where is he now? Last I heard, he was living in some dingy apartment, working a dead-end job, and still trying to convince people that he was wronged. No one buys it, not even his old friends. He's completely alone. Meanwhile, my wife and I are happier than ever. We just bought a house, and we're planning our honeymoon. My parents, once blinded by favoritism, now see him for what he really is. And me? I don't regret a thing. Some people deserve second chances. My brother didn't. Subscribe for more, unless you're my brother, in which case, maybe focus on getting a job first.